Imagine standing before thousands of people, your voice echoing across the crowd, knowing every word you speak could change the course of history. Now imagine doing it while knowing there are people who want you silenced forever. This is the story of Martin Luther King Jr., the man who led a revolution without ever throwing a punch. A man who fought hatred with hope and turned the idea of nonviolence into the most powerful weapon America had ever seen. Stick with me until the end, because you're about to discover the real story behind the dream, the risks he took that almost no one talks about, and the moment that sealed his place in history. Martin Luther King Jr. was born in 1929 in Atlanta, Georgia, a time when racial segregation wasn't just a social norm, it was the law. Now, if you're thinking, wow, what a great time to be black in America, yeah, no, not even close. But here's the thing. From a young age, Martin saw something different. His parents taught him dignity, self-worth, and faith, values that planted a seed deep inside him. He grew up believing that change was possible. By the time he was in college, Martin wasn't just smart, he was magnetic, the kind of person you couldn't help but listen to. And when he studied Gandhi's philosophy of nonviolence, something clicked. This was the key. Not fists, not fire, but peaceful resistance that could expose the injustice for the whole world to see. But theory is one thing, putting it into action, that would test him in ways no textbook could prepare him for. And that first real test? It came on a bus in Montgomery, Alabama. It was December 1st, 1955. Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat to a white man. Now let's be clear, she didn't do it because she was tired from work. She did it because she was tired of injustice. The black community in Montgomery decided to fight back by not riding the buses at all. And who would lead this massive boycott? A 26-year-old pastor named Martin Luther King Jr. And here's where it gets real. This wasn't just about buses. It was about dismantling an entire system of segregation. But leading that charge meant Martin became a target. His house was bombed. He was arrested. He received death threats almost daily. Would you keep going if your family's safety was on the line? Martin did. And the boycott lasted 381 days until the Supreme Court finally ruled bus segregation unconstitutional. That's right. Over a year of walking to work. Suddenly, your broken car doesn't sound so bad, does it? But this was only the beginning. Over the next decade, Martin led marches, sit-ins, and protests across the South. And every time his message was the same. We will not meet hate with hate. It sounds noble now, but back then? Even some in the civil rights movement thought he was too soft. They wanted faster change, stronger action. Martin's reply was simple. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. But the more attention he gained, the more dangerous the game became. And in 1963, on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, he gave a speech that the world would never forget. But it wasn't the whole story. August 28, 1963, the March on Washington. Over 250,000 people gathered to hear Martin speak. The speech was already powerful. But here's the twist. The iconic "I Have a Dream" section? That part wasn't even in his prepared notes. He spoke it from the heart, urged on by gospel singer Mahalia Jackson, who shouted, "Tell them about the dream, Martin." That moment became history, but history can be cruel. In the years that followed, Martin turned his focus to poverty and the Vietnam War, causes that made him unpopular with some politicians and even former allies. Still, he refused to back down. On April 4, 1968, in Memphis, Tennessee, Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated. He was just 39 years old. He didn't live to see all the changes he fought for. But because of him, America took massive steps toward equality. His legacy? It's not just in history books, it's in every peaceful protest, every voice raised for justice, every person who believes that change is possible without violence. And here's the truth. The dream isn't something we look back on. It's something we carry forward. Because as Martin said, the time is always right to do what is right. So the question isn't, what did Martin Luther King Jr. do for us? The question is, what will we do with the dream he left behind? Keep the dream alive.